They were inconsolable and angry. Supporters of Rio Arriba County Sheriff Tommy Rodella watched U.S. Marshals take him away in handcuffs.
Just hours ago, a federal jury found Rodella guilty of violating a man's civil rights. They were convinced he chased down the Espanola man, unlawfully arrested him, and threatened him with a gun back in March.
For investigator Ryan Luby has the emotional reaction tonight.
Any of you touch me or my camera, you will be charged. Don't touch me.
This is how you measure loss, apparently. These are the people who still stand by an elected sheriff, now a convicted criminal. They wanted nothing to do with a KOB photojournalist and pushed him away.
You have no authority here. You have no authority here.
Still, they left federal court knowing a 12-person jury made it clear that Tommy Rodella violated Michael Tafoya's civil rights, the man who got caught up in what prosecutors say was a display of Rodella's ego back in March. Despite the verdict, the case is not over yet.
Shocked, surprised, there'll be an appeal.
Rodella's attorney Bob Gorence had few words for us, but through the appeals process, he plans to challenge U.S. Attorney Damon Martinez's role in the case. Remember, Gorence contends that Martinez had a personal vendetta against Rodella dating back to a contentious meeting in May. That's when Rodella says Martinez threatened him with arrest if he got in the way of U.S. Fish and Wildlife officers. But Martinez looks at it differently.
I do not have a vendetta against the sheriff.
In fact, he says that meeting is totally separate from what happened in this case and trial. And speaking of this case, Martinez says his office took little pleasure in it, but had to pursue it.
Any time that there's an allegation that a police officer is violating anyone's civil rights, the Department of Justice takes that seriously.
And he says let that be the message of the verdict. As for the loss and this sort of affection for KOB,
Don't touch me or my camera.
these folks await Rodella's sentencing hearing coming up at a later date.
Okay, so how much time could Rodella get? Well, it varies, but we know at a minimum he faces a mandatory 7 years in prison on the gun charge to be served consecutive to a sentence on the civil rights charge. Altogether, he could get up to 17 years in prison. I'm Ryan Luby for Investigates.
Right now, Under Sheriff Vince Crespin is in charge of the department. Rio Arriba County Sheriff's commanders will meet with the county officials on Monday to plan their next moves.
The district